All right, you have been doing these problems. You've been checking them with your calculator. Actually, you've been doing them with your calculator.
Yep. No.
Mr. McMurdo, why would you have us do it with your calculator? Well, because there's an intent behind my lunacy. An intent behind my lunacy. In the past, if I asked you, Kaylee, what is 52 times 10?
520.
So if I said, explain to Destry how you would do a problem multiplied by 10, what would you say?
My teacher just said add a zero.
Add a zero if you're multiplying. Is there anybody that wasn't taught that in the past? Okay. Why that is true with a whole number. So let me explain why it is true with a whole number. In the number 52, where's my decimal point? Decimal point's after the ones place. What number's in the ones place?
5.
The 2.
5.
The 2 is in the ones place. What you did when you multiply by 10 is you moved the decimal point to the right one place. That is why you got 520. So while what you were taught is true, if I just added a 0 to the back of this, does that change the value? No,
Not at all.
it does not change the value at all. I have 6 and 386 thousandths. If I add 0 ten thousandths, that's not going to change the answer at all. So the point of what I'm doing this lesson is I'm trying to save you some time in the future, that when you're multiplying by powers of 10 are 10, 100, 1,000. We could go on just continually adding zeros to the back. Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, I already know how you multiply by tens, but when you're multiplying by 100 or 100, do you add 2 zeros?
You move the decimal point twice. So when you did 6 and 386 thousandths times 10, you should have gotten 63 and 86 hundredths. Because all I did, I have 1 0 in my 10. I'm moving the decimal point one place to the right. It's 10 times bigger than it was. Instead of 6 ones, I now have 60 ones. It's 10 times bigger. Or I'm sorry, instead of 6 ones, I now have 60 ones. Because that's 10 times greater. Instead of 3 tenths, I now have what essentially is 30 tenths. Okay, does that make sense? All right. When multiplying by 100, I've got 2, so I need to make it 100 times bigger. So this 6, which is now in the ones place, if you multiplied 6 times 100, what would it equal? 600. So I need the 6 to be in the hundreds place, which means I'm going to move my decimal point 2 places to the right. 638 and 6 tenths. 638 and 6 tenths. You are not changing the numbers up here. You are not putting zeros in between any of the numbers up here. You're moving the decimal point. That is it. You're moving the decimal point. This has the 3 zeros. This 6, instead of being in the hundreds place, or in the ones place, needs to now be in the thousands place. So I move my decimal point 3 places to the right. So I'm going to get 6,386. The 6 is in my one. This 6 is in my ones place. So my decimal point goes directly there. All you're doing is moving the decimal point. Now let's talk about some common errors that I'm going to see, that I've seen throughout my time. Sometimes I see people just adding zeros in the middle of it. Sometimes I see people actually going 6386 times 1,000. Then I get 0, 0, 0, 0. Then I have to start. And then they just do this whole thing that goes way down to here, and it's mostly zeros. And you're going to end up with the same thing. You're going to end up with the same thing. But if you're multiplying by 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, all you're doing is moving the decimal point. And essentially, you're just moving the decimal point by the number of zeros that there are. Now, the back page, Mr. McMurdo, had different types of problems on it. The back page had now we're multiplying by 1/10. So Tiernan, is 1/10 less than or greater than 1? Less. That means my answer is going to get smaller than what I start with. I start with 6 and 386 thousandths. I need to make 6 and 386 thousandths smaller by 1/10. Which means each place value is going to be 1/10 smaller. So instead of the 6 in the ones place, 1/10 of 1, so 1/10 of 6, my 6 would be then in the 10th place. So when I'm multiplying by 1/10, I'm moving the decimal point to the left one because I need to make the number smaller. So now I'm going to have, and I know we don't go out to the 10,000ths or the 100,000ths. A cool thing about multiplying by, how many of y'all would rather multiply than divide? Okay, so it looks like most of y'all would rather multiply than divide. Multiplying by 1/10 is the same as dividing by 10. Multiplying by 1/10 is the same as dividing by 10. I'm making each place value 1/10 as big as it currently is. So multiplying by 1/10 is the same as dividing by 10. Let's see, we have 6 and 386 thousandths divided by 100th. We're going to move the decimal point which direction?
To the right, to the left, to
What?
Okay, you said the right, the left.
the right.
Should we choose up and down?
The right.
The right, so we're going to make my number bigger.
What?
No,
Okay. I thought it was going to
we need to make it smaller because we're multiplying by less than 1.
Yeah.
Now we're in the hundredths place, so we need to make it 100 times smaller. Oh, you are. So we're moving to the left twice. Once, but I don't have anything there, Mr. McMurdo. Well, when you did it as with a calculator, we would have 0, 6, 3, 8, 6,
Wait.
which is 6,386 hundred thousandths. Now you're not going to go out to the 100,000ths. That's how it would work out. And also, let's see, is 6 and 386 thousandths times, this should be times, why did I do that? Times, you're going to move the decimal point to the left how many times? How many times?
3 times.
3 times. It's going to go once, twice, 3 times, which means I have to have my zeros in front of that.
Set up.
All you're doing is moving the decimal point when you're multiplying by powers of 10. Does that make pennies?
Can we do one more?
No.
I'll do one more.
No.
Yes.
Why would you do
I'm sorry,
that?
just one.
Why not?
You're
I
gonna
just-
be here. I hope you're not.
I mean, you don't have your
Well, I'm not trying
computer to
fail.
use,
I
so
want to go it up.
I finished all
let's take.
You have to go to
No, I don't.
Unless you want to be stupid for it.
I would know something.
All right, so if we have first 75 and 321 thousandths, we multiply it by 100. That means my 5 needs to go from the ones place to the hundreds place, which means my decimal point has to go 2 places to the left. Multiplying by 100, the ones to the hundreds. 7, 5, 3, 2, 1. 7,532 and 1/10.
Let's go.
This one we're getting smaller.
Huh.
That would be
Maybe 1, 0, 20. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, yes, ma'am.
Can I write a problem?
No, I don't want
Okay.
Knox to get all mad at you.
No, you.
Thank you.